Welcome everybody to the Artist Pass. Today we are on our second guest with one of the artists visiting from Serbia. His name is Tebra. Welcome, Tebra. How are you?
Hello, guys. Hello.
How are you doing today? How's your trip been?
All good. All good so far.
Is it your first time here in the States?
Yeah, actually, it is.
So tell us more about yourself. Like, how did you get into the music industry, and what aspires you to continue doing what you do?
I started a long time ago, I would say, like 20 years ago, like 2001. I started experimenting with music production. And back then it was psytrance music, a bit different from what I'm doing today and in recent years. And I was inspired with starting to going to parties, and getting to know the electronic music and the scene back then in Serbia. And for a contrast, the music that I'm doing now, it's much more oriented to the acoustic instruments, like comparing to trance, which is like mostly purely electronic synthesizers and whatnot. Now I'm more turned towards acoustic instruments, like ethnic instruments, like classic acoustic and stuff like that.
Awesome. Did you get into music because of any background in music, or any like family background that you've been inspired by, or did it come after some certain time in
Actually,
your life?
my older brother was like kind of a role model to me, and he got me basically. He gave me the first CDs and introduced me to the culture and scene of the trance music. So I got like interested and had a desire to start something to do of my own.
Awesome. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 38 right now.
So you've been in the industry for 20 years?
Yeah, let's say.
Wow. So pretty much most of your life, most of your
Yeah,
adult life.
I would say better part of my life.
That's beautiful to hear. I wanted to talk more about your music, your current releases, and kind of like where you're going next with the music, kind of like an insight for the audience to see how you're progressing as an artist. So tell us more about like what's next for you.
Well, basically, I started with Tebra project back in 2017, and for the next 3 or 4 years, I was heavily influenced with Balkan music, which is my like native country and surroundings, and Oriental music, and this kept me going in the last 3-4 years. But somehow, I guess every artist is evolving and exploring new genres and new influences. So I'm more experimenting now a bit with Afro and Latin sounds, but still having influence in Oriental and Balkan music as well.
Okay, and what are your favorite instruments when you say acoustic? Like what kind of sounds from
I like
instruments?
acoustic guitar. I like violin. I like Oriental oud. Various kinds of drums, like from darabuka, tabla, whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I wanted to ask you, like, when you started your Tebra project, how did it come along, and how long did it take for you to feel like this project is what I'm doing now, 100% full time, no questions?
Basically, I'm coming back again to the trance music that I was doing before. Back in 2015-16, I really felt tired of it, basically, and the intensity that is coming with it, So I had a desire to do something completely, basically different, and I still didn't have an idea what to do, but back then I was still doing occasionally some sample packs for various companies. And after doing like 3 or 4 psytrance sample packs, psytrance oriented, I asked them, the company that I was working for, to make something different, to just try to experiment. And from that one that I made, which was totally like, how can I say, it was holding all my influences and the music influences that I was listening during years back. So it had like 10 tracks from like 80 to 140 BPM. So totally different genres, from like light drum and bass to like totally down tempo, house music, this and that. And this gave me basically the idea and like the push that I can create something different other than trance.
Okay.
And after that, in 2017, a couple of friends approached me uh, back in Belgrade and told me like you should listen to these guys. They were referring to Armin Miran and Crutch, and I checked their music and I liked it. And so my friends told me like we wanna start a label releasing this kind of music. Would you try to do something like that? And I was like totally open for it, and I started to do something, and I made these first two tracks, which was Satan and Mladost, and apparently they really liked it, and from then on, everything started with Tebra project. You know, I got involved more and more, and I'm still doing it. Yeah.
Awesome. So wait, let's step back a little bit. You said like to your native like culture. Where does that come from? Which country?
Balkan is like a melting pot with lots of influences, you know, from like south from us, from Serbia, you have like Greeks and their influence in music. On the east, you have Turkey, and Turkey was in the Middle Ages ruling this part of Balkan, and obviously we have a lot of influence from like Turkish and Oriental music. From the West, we have also influence from like Western music. So, and also native Balkan music, which is kind of have these native instruments like bagpipes, like flutes, various kinds of string instruments, and all this mixed together gives a really special blend of a music that I'm still driving the getting the inspiration from. Yeah.
Okay, so like, do you feel like the current culture does it like embrace these instruments, these sounds, or does it kind of not help with the current like music trend?
Well, for the last let's say 5 years, this thing which is called now organic house got bigger and bigger and got a spotlight basically, and people started to recognize this as a separate genre, and it opened how can I say, it opened a window for all these various world music influences to be blended with house music. Okay. And it became something beautiful in my opinion, you know. So lots of cultures can now blend their music with house music, which is more or less mainstream, and this can be heard for wider audiences. Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of emergence of like the kind of Middle Eastern, like as you said, the Balkan sounds mixed into the house music, the remixes.
Yeah,
they've been very popular. So like over the past like years of your career, like you've had a lot of releases, a lot of music come out. How would you say this blends into the genres you play? Is it organic house purely, or what kind of genre do you classify yourself in?
I don't know really. I have to repeat that I draw a lot of influence from my past life with trance music. I like also progressive house, like also pure house music, and all these various world music influences. So I tried to blend all of this in my music, like as an author and a producer, and basically to create something of my own.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily has to be sounding like some of the artists that I like, but obviously I think it's a good road to be on to create something original, basically.
Okay. So speaking of artists that you like or you've looked up to, are there any artists that are in the scene right now that you've taken any inspiration from, or?
Yeah, of course. You mean on the organic house scene, or like?
I mean, mostly for production wise, or like in terms of sounds that you like. You've seen these artists kind of bring out these sounds and you enjoy them. So are there any artists that you think you can talk about?
I was always admiring like one of the pioneers of the psytrance genre that long ago transferred to something more experimental and different. The Simon Posford called and his project Spongel. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a really original blend of everything, basically mixed together, and psychedelic and groovy, and really something unique that I really recommend for everybody to listen. Yeah.
I will link that artist into the description so people can take a look. Obviously, many viewers or many of the audience is not very tapped into the very old school kind of artist or someone that's been doing it for a long time. So it's very important for me to bring out these artists and bring out these sounds. So next thing I want to talk about is that, like, in what moment in like your career or like your releases or discography did you find out that like this is the song that kind of is changing everything? Or was there a certain release or a certain time period where you felt like this was a very important moment in your career?
Well, not really, from my experience and experience of other producers, there is this paradox, let's say it, that happens every now and then, that for example, when you put a lot of effort in some track and you're almost certain that this is going to be a hit, this is going to be it, in the end it doesn't.
So basically zero expectations.
And for a track that I did in a day or two and didn't have any expectations for it, somehow people get hooked on it, so there are no rules really.
Okay, so like your biggest thing is zero expectations, just put in the work.
Just do your thing, and people will say in the end, what's good, what's not.
Okay, and do you feel like your time in the studio is something you enjoy more than like performing as a DJ? Or
I would say for sure. I feel the best in the studio.
Okay,
making music and exploring the sounds and various influences, and
we were speaking earlier while we were in the studio. We were talking about the software you use. What kind of software do you use?
I mainly, from the beginning of my experiments with music productions, I used Cubase. I used a little bit Fruity Loops, but it was Fruity Loops 2 or 3 back then, something like that. But quickly I transferred to Cubase, and this is my DAW of choice.
Okay. And do you think there's a big difference using different DAWs, or it's whatever you're comfortable with, or find
Not really.
easy?
Whatever you're comfortable with, and whatever makes you happy with the end result.
Okay.
That's it.
Interesting, yeah. Because we see a lot of debate nowadays, people that or artists that use Logic or use a different program than Ableton. They always, you're taking the easy way out. This is like not technical, not the hard way. But it's very interesting to see artists of like bigger caliber. They don't really care about those things.
I really don't believe in that. 30, 40 years ago, it was a lot harder, to make a track than now.
Yeah.
So the technology is evolving, every day, and you just have to find the best way to express what you hold inside into the music making software, and that's it. Yeah.
No, that's great advice. Just because as myself, I'm an upcoming artist. I just started recently, and as I told you, it's you hear a lot of things about the DAWs you use or what kind of different programs do you use. Obviously, the music nowadays it's a little bit easier. There's a lot of samples, a lot of loops, a lot of kind of easy way to arrange your music and come out with it. So, do you feel like there's a difference in the creative process nowadays compared to before?
Well, I think this abundance of like choices and everything, kills the creativity a little bit. Earlier you didn't have so many choices, and you had to work what you have, But this like again, this word, abundance of choices can make you confused sometimes, and make you stray from the path that you're looking for. So for me, I tend to use just like in one track, I tend to use like a couple of synths.
Okay.
And try to process the live instruments or acoustic instruments in some other unexpected way, that it will give like a stamp to like my creative process.
Okay. So do you record any of your like instruments live, or
sometimes I invite some of my friends that are singing or playing some live instruments, and then I use this as a stash for my future tracks, and I use this material in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like after you found that your sound, or like
Mm-hmm.
you've finished the track, or now you have a lot of tracks,
Mm-hmm.
you find your sound. How easy is it to balance that and balance like the trends that are happening? Does your creative process often like kind of push you more to follow a certain trend in the genre, or is it easy to stick to your true like artistic version?
Well, I really tried to avoid that because at one point of my career, when I was doing psytrance, I got a bit drowned in this following the trend process, and in my experience and experience of lots of other artists, it it's not good. If you are trying to be like everybody else, you will be like a lot of other guys, that are sounding the same, and your stamp, your creative process will be suffocated, and this is really that I don't want for myself and to happen anymore. So yeah, there are artists that I really like and admire, and I follow the scene and listen what's happening. But again, I'm trying to do something that I feel and on in my way, and which I will be happy with. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting like kind of perspective, considering like the current production scene and how a lot of the music that's mainstream or like remixes of a mainstream song tend to go very popular when a song that's artistically created, a lot of very very minor details that people are very focused, or the artist is focused on, but then that song doesn't go the same distance. A song like that has popular vocals, or a song that is a remix of a popular maybe R&B song or old school song, those songs tend to go a long way.
Yeah.
So many artists and producers, they tend to kind of focus on these, and I think that kind of takes you away from the artist that you are, or like the sound that you follow. Especially like someone like you've acclaimed like such a important sound, and that's in my opinion a very important like part of the journey as an artist. Like the sound you have, so I feel like when you drift away a little bit and create a remix just to follow the trend, that takes away from the artist that you really are.
Yeah, I would say like that. And I would add that for me, I'm a kind of person that can be easily bored, with this. And that's why I'm doing like a couple of tracks in the like same style, but the third track will be something different,
Okay.
because it's becoming boring.
Yeah,
basically,
that's very important, because
Yeah.
also people they don't want to, they obviously like you as an artist, but at some point they want to see a different kind of style from you, especially after a long time. You've been in this industry for a while,
Yeah.
so it's kind of nice to hear all the different tracks. So
Yeah.
this year, is there anything new that you're working on? What's different?
Yeah, I'm trying again to find something different that will satisfy me in a creative way, and I have packed like 6 or 7 good releases. I think that I scheduled for various friendly labels, and they will be out by the end of the year. And after that, I will maybe considering like something like album or longer EP or something like that. Yeah.
So during this like creative process, do you sit down and make like one track a day, or like do you work on different tracks at the same time, or do you finish one by one the project?
I tend to do one by one, but this is something that I really cannot plan. Never, for example, if I'm inspired, I can make a main hook now and finish the track in a day or two. And then sometimes I make this hook and I try to start work on the productions or drums or something, and I'm not satisfied with that. So I stretch this process of making of a track for like a couple of weeks or even 3 weeks or more. So
Do you feel more confident now that you've been doing this for a long time? Like if you build the foundation for a track, you can leave it and come back to it, because
yeah,
usually the human psychology, like it tends to like start something and then leave it and then come back to it. But at this level, you feel comfortable doing something, leaving it for a little bit and then coming back to it.
yeah, sure. I'm mostly mostly saving all my projects, even the little ones, with just like a kick and bass or some melody, and a couple of drums. And then you never know, if you hear it again after a year or two, maybe you will find something interesting in it and wish to make something out of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how does it differ now, like in walking into the studio or sitting down, compared to like 10 years ago? Like what's different? Do you feel like there's a different workflow that you know what you're doing, or is it the same feeling like always?
No, I think it's the same feeling, I'm always excited to explore something new, and every time I sit in front of the computer, and in my studio, I tend to explore, and this kind of excitement never wears off.
No, it's a very interesting like question I ask you because of the current production scene. As I mentioned before, there's a lack of like authentic representation, because also a lot of people with your music, it's a very like organic, it's a emotional kind of
Yeah.
feeling. So you have to kind of be a little bit vulnerable in a sense to showcase like the sound that you're trying to bring out. So do you have to be in a certain mood, or do you feel like for example, this year we've had a very difficult year with a lot of the politics around the world, a lot of the
Well,
just up and downs.
regarding the music, I think people always recognize something that is honest. For example, I will tell you this. One of the tracks, I will not say which one, but let's say like this: I had some issues in my life, like everybody does,
Yeah.
and when I felt like this is the darkest moment or something like that, I try to express that through the music.
Okay.
And I made this track like maybe in one day, and I totally left it. And this track became one of my most popular tracks, But for example, this track I don't like to play so much because it takes me back to this time, But people kind of hold of it, that is something that is like this is the shit, blah blah blah.
So they can tell that you were like vulnerable producing this. There was a specific emotion you're feeling, and
I think that
people
that's the case.
can tell.
Yeah, people can tell for sure.
So that's a very important thing, because if you're not able to put your vulnerability through like the studio time, you're not going to express yourself properly. I would say like this is something kind of occurring nowadays, because unfortunately we've seen a lot of political like issues around the world, separate from personal issues as an artist, that affected everybody, like even if you're related to the issue or not, it kind of puts a burden on you. So and a lot of the artists, they're producing music related to these like up and downs, the emotional feelings, and I feel like audience needs to hear those things in order to feel like this is a work of art rather than just something put together with no feelings.
I tend to do that, every track for me is like expression of my emotions, and basically expression of my emotions and state of mind, in that moment, So I try to get this out of me, in the honest possible way, let's say, and if people recognize this, I'm happy. If not, never mind, I did my therapy with it.
Yeah.
Let's say.
No, honestly, I would say it's very easy for audience to tell if something was made like with emotions and feelings, especially when you play it, like the audience can read the artist very well. So let's step aside from production a little bit and talk more about like the performance aspect, or getting bookings, or the kind of staying busy. So do you find it like easier, like you're based in Europe? Do you feel like the scene is a little bit different in terms of bookings, or do you feel like it's something that is easy, like to get bookings? Do you have to like work on promoting yourself as an artist, or do the bookings come to you at this level that you're at?
Well, in this time, I think as an artist, you should put more effort in your career. Earlier, it was enough, to make like decent music and send it to the label, and the label will do everything for you. Now, if you are not like super known artist, you have to invest in the marketing, and the videos and the exposure and everything. Promote yourself, to get recognized and get known. by the audience and by the promoters and organizers and whatnot. So it's a bit harder road right now.
Okay.
Harder
And are you currently doing music full time?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very different because the United States market, I feel like if you're based out of here, it's very difficult to take on like a full time role because all the markets around it is very far away. So someone in Europe is less likely to book an artist
Yeah.
in the States, and the scene here is very limited to a few cities, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, but Europe has like abundance of cities that play
Yeah.
music, and even on a like smaller scale gigs, nothing crazy. So what would be like your biggest advice for someone who's looking to, you know, perform more or be involved in the scene in terms of a DJ?
Well, find your own sound.
Okay.
And people will recognize
Comes
that.
back to production once again. Okay.
Yeah, I would say, you know, if you made something honest and make something new, I think people will recognize it, and it will be much easier for you to swim out from the sea of artists, you know, and performance. And
Yeah, so the conversation leads back to production as well. And as we've spoken before, I want to touch down on like the topic of like artists that are starting out. How important is production for them? How important should it be?
I think they should decide in their life, is it gonna be something full time?
Yeah, I'm talking about the artists that are like, okay, I want to become a DJ, I want to become an artist, I want to produce. How important is it that they start producing? Like, is it something they should wait on a little bit, or should they be really looking for their sound and working on that right away?
Well, again, I have to say, you know, they should decide what they really want to do.
Okay.
Because this is not an easy job. This is something that requires dedication at many levels of your life, and you will have to push back some things in your life, you know, and make some sacrifices, you know, that are, for some people this is acceptable, for others it's not. So first thing that they need to find an answer in themselves. Is it something that they really want to do, and is the love for the music something that they will dedicate themselves, you know, fully in the future years.
Okay. Yeah, no, I asked this question just because I find it very hard to see like artists nowadays that are performing at big stages, kind of taking over the scene for artists that are been producing for a long time. You see artists with one or two songs, kind of maybe not even like completely made by their authentic self, kind of take over an artist that's been working really, really hard for a long time. And it's not something related to me, but it's I come from an organization like background where I created events. I threw bigger like parties where I focus on the artist. I find it very difficult to book artists that are producing a lot because these artists tend to be less known. So that's kind of like an issue we have in our industry. The spotlight is usually on the artist that's following the mainstream route, which makes it harder for a real authentic person to kind of step in and take that booking. So what do you have to say when it's like, as someone, I mean, personally, I've looked through your discography and I've seen like lots of music, lots of productions, lots of authentic music. And you also do have a big following on like the platforms where people listen to you. Do you think there's a level where that changes, where it's not just about the music, it's about the numbers? Or is it always about the music? So do you feel like your bookings come from the music, or just because also your numbers match the music?
I think in this time it's both, you know. In the beginning, you know, you have to be aware that mostly like music enthusiasts like you or me will recognize someone new that has a quality and that makes music that is interesting, you know. And if this person, this artist, sticks to his music and do this in the honest and the right way, and again makes certain sacrifices and shows dedication, over time these numbers will grow.
Okay.
And with more exposure, more people will be able to discover this artist, you know, and he will grow. and these numbers will also grow, naturally. So that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, no, it's just as someone in your kind of genre or like kind of specific style of music, it's very hard to see someone with kind of bigger numbers. Like currently, I've checked your Spotify, you're like 120,000 monthly listeners,
Okay.
which comparingly, it's a very large number because this genre is very small compared to, the hip hop, the R&B,
Of course.
the pop music. So these numbers are numbers that are like hard to achieve in my opinion because artists struggle to get their music out there. So it seems like you've had like some sort of formula that people are seeing you and the music together as one. And I think that's helped you a lot.
Well, to be honest, I started to make music, to make this kind of music, when this genre was starting.
Okay.
So maybe that helped, I'm here on the scene, for like past 5-6 years, and people with this time people got to know me, and maybe this can correspond with this kind of numbers or what you're talking about. I really don't know what to tell you honestly. This is my opinion about it. Maybe there is something other involved that I'm not aware of, but
no, I'm asking you because I'm not coming from an artist perspective. It's more about like from the outside, like as an audience, someone who's not like not in the scene, like someone who's just scrolling through the Spotify, looking at the numbers. It's for you as an artist, you keep working. The numbers to you don't really matter. It's not something you focus on a lot.
I mean, it matters, if you tend to live from this, and if you tend to solely live from this, numbers matter, because they are showing basically how popular you are, and this equals how often you will get booked.
Yeah. No, but like I said, we talked about it in the beginning. I'm pretty sure you were not focused on like, I need to get to this number of listeners. I don't need to. You were just, producing music and putting all the work.
Again, don't get me wrong. In this time, you see people that are buying Instagram followers, and you see someone with like 50,000 followers, and when you see the comments on the picture, it's like 5 comments.
Yeah. It's a very, very controversial topic.
Yeah, it is, but I have to mention it,
Yeah.
Because
it's actually spread to Spotify now. You can buy Spotify listeners. You can buy views on your videos. You can pretty much do it all without having any real followers. So I really understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Because obviously, as a booking agent or someone that's even a fan, I just go on someone's Instagram, 100,000 followers. That's naturally, like psychologically, makes you want to see what's going on. So it's
honestly, I didn't know about buying the followers, like monthly followers on Spotify. I heard that people are paying to get on the playlist.
Yeah, that's one, but you can buy the monthly listeners.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I used to work in marketing, so a lot of brands ask for like publicity. SoundCloud too, you can buy the listens on your song. You can also buy the comments, buy the reposts. So you can pretty much do it all without having to do anything really. Yeah. So it's a very interesting topic because as we talked about, like if you're an artist who hires someone to do their song and then hires a marketing agency to do your marketing, you can pretty much be on the same level as someone who's been working really hard by just like pressing a few buttons, which is unfortunately like
it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it. But when you go see the artists for themselves, you can tell like this is not someone who's been around. Of course. Yeah. So we keep going back to production and kind of like work like that. I want to talk about more of like the performances you've had. Like where are your favorite cities to play? Where do you enjoy the audience most? Where's the energy always the highest?
Well, the last couple of years, I got opportunity to be booked on Ozora Festival at Hungary, which is essentially a trance festival, which I attended first time back in 2005 or 6, when it was purely like trance festival. But the last like 5 or 6 years, they spread to many alternative genres. Okay. And it's a big festival right now with lots of alternative stages. And I really felt like at home playing there, and staying there with those people from like organization and people who are attending, it's a really nice vibe, and I really recommend for people to visit it. Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like there's a shift in energy between the crowds in Europe versus like maybe Latin America, maybe America itself?
It depends where you play.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you just bump to the wrong day and the crowd is different.
Different. Okay.
You know, I wouldn't say wrong, it's different, you know. And sometimes you go to play in first time in some country that you're playing the first time, and the party is maybe really small, like 150 people, but the energy is like crazy, you know. And I like this kind of experiences, you know, when you least expect something, you know, you get like thrilled, you know, by it.
No, it's something that I can't very much comment on, but as the audience, I've been into this scene as a fan, like as someone who goes to parties and festivals for about like 8 years.
Yeah.
And most of the time, Europe always showcases me like a little bit of pure energy, like kind of like off the phone, I would say, like less,
Doesn't
you know,
it doesn't have to be,
no,
honestly. Yeah, depends again, you know, where you go, how lucky you are,
yeah,
or whatever, you know. It's the same here in America, I guess, and some places in Europe and my hometown, sorry. You can see people with the phones, you know, just having pictures, videos, you know, this is their thing, you know, and on some other places there is not so much of that.
yeah, just
you know.
pure energy. Okay.
Yeah, depends.
So from that, I want to ask you, like, is there like a certain set or performance you've had where you felt like this was different? This was a defining moment. Like, did you feel like this? You performed like at a festival, like you said, this festival you spoke about. Did you feel different after you're done? Like you felt like this is some like a milestone you've achieved?
Yeah, I had a really pleasant experience and a really nice feedback from the crowd. I played not last year, the year before that. I played in Egypt in Chill Opposite. It's the name of the festival, and it's held every year in Dahab in Egypt on the like close to the Sinai mountains. And it was really amazing experience. You know, I really felt like this is. I'm grateful to be invited to play there. You know, and to sense this energy. You know, of the people in front of me.
Yeah, no, it's. I think there are certain sets that kind of define you. They make you feel like you're kind of who you are now. It's like it's a special moment, especially when you like engage with nature, and the music you're playing is music full of emotions or organic. So. Just wrapping up, like if you had to like do this all over again, like start from now, is there anything you would change, or is everything you've done was for a reason, and you believe like this is how, like this is my situation, this is what I went through, and it made me who I am now?
I would leave everything the same. I would just change that I don't stick to one kind of sound too much.
Okay.
That's it, basically, you know. Because as I told you, I was doing different kind of music, and in one point of time, you know, I was doing it maybe because of the habit or because of the financial situation or benefit that it was bringing me at the time, which was not something like crazy much, you know. But again, I was kind of lazy, you know, to reach out and to try to do something different.
Okay.
And I wouldn't repeat that again, for sure.
Okay. So like just the last thing I wanted to ask you before we like wrap everything up. So as an artist, what is true success? Like aside from charts, numbers, releases, performances, what do you feel makes you like have that feeling that I'm successful at what I do as an artist? Because artists always have self-doubt. They always looking for the next step, or not feeling perfect or feeling enough. Same thing with tracks. You always finish tracks and you're like, but it needs this, but it needs this. And
you know what's success? When you play somewhere, wherever, and after you show, a girl or a guy approaches to you and asks you for a minute of your time and tells you how this track of yours works on their mind or on their heart and soul, you know, and tells you honestly, you can see it in the eyes, you know, that this track made so much impact on this person, you know, and for me, this is success.
Yeah, that's a beautiful feeling to have.
Yeah.
Although, especially when maybe the track is one of the tracks you spent a lot of emotional energy on,
Yeah.
affects someone like that. It's very important.
Yeah.
So, aside from music, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? Like, what's other artists are usually very involved in the scene, and it's very hard to have some time to do something different.
I like to spend time in nature, and I like to drive, like in unknown direction, you know, basically somewhere that I never been before, you know. I think the best, you know, when I'm driving, you know, to some godforsaken road or whatever, you know. This is my way of getting relaxed, you know, and thinking of things, and that's about it. Yeah.
No, awesome. Thank you for your answer, and I thank you for your time for coming on and like talking.
It was a pleasure
with us more about yourself and kind of giving the industry a little bit more of what it needs in terms of artists. They don't know what happens behind the scenes, how much time and effort it takes to be where you are today. So I thank you for your time, and once again, thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to having you again.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.